Welcome to our June 2023 KaleidoSoul monthly SoulCollage Zoom. Our guest today is Sheila Southon from Montreal, Canada, and our topic is elemental chakra energies in our SoulCollage cards. I'm Anne-Marie Bennett from KaleidoSoul.com, where we celebrate all things creative as created by Sina Frost, all things SoulCollage creative as created by Sina Frost. We're recording this on June 22nd, 2023, and I'm going to introduce Sheila, and then she will get going, and she will remind us what she wanted us to have with us as well. So actually, let me spotlight her as well. Where is that little thing? Okay, here we are. There she is. Okay. Sheila, you might want to remember to unmute yourself, because when I muted everybody, you got muted too. Let me just admit some more people. Okay, so Sheila Southon is a counselor, meditation coach, motivational speaker, Chopra Center University instructor, an author, a member of the Canadian Counseling and Psychotherapy Association, as well as the Quebec Counseling Association and the International Association of Yoga Therapists. She became a SoulCollage facilitator in 2020 during the pandemic. So welcome, Sheila, and thank you for agreeing to share this topic with us today.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. I'm really excited to be here. And as people are being admitted, I could see a few names and faces of people who I've been in subgroups with in other workshops. So to them, I want to say hello, and also to everyone, welcome. I'm very happy to be here to remind us all, and also to teach you, give you information that may be different ways of seeing even your own cards and things that you've already made, or to inspire different things that you may want to make, cards you want to make. So I asked for you guys to be comfortable, and also to bring, if you're so inclined, to bring your favorite healthy snack or drink, or maybe you've just had lunch or something. We can use even now. Yeah, you can use all of those, and we will use all of them in a meditation that we're going to do almost at the beginning of our presentation. Pretty soon we're going to do that. So one of the things I thought I would like to do would be to ask if any of you have any really burning questions about chakras or energies or archetypes, and I just wanted to see them so that I'll be sure to address them. I mean, I can't address everything about archetypes and chakras in 90 minutes, obviously. But what I'm hoping is that if you write in a question, or if I can see what you're hoping to learn during this workshop, that hopefully I'll be able to incorporate it. So if you want to, now I'm just trying to see, Anne-Marie, how I would get to see it. It's in the chat, eh? I would get to see.
Or I can read them. I don't see any yet, but maybe people are typing. I see some people typing. I'd like to know more about the solar plexus chakra. Thank you, Lori.
Okay, Laura, thank you.
Lori.
In Las Cruces, I knew someone who lived there once. Neat.
It's hot here now.
Okay, well, so I'm saying how to identify and heal blocked chakras.
Okay. All right. Beautiful. Now, the presentation that I'm doing is a smaller part of a whole program that I was teaching at one point. So I do have information about unblocking the crown chakra, interestingly enough, but if there's a specific chakra, maybe that would be something I can incorporate. I don't feel I can do all of them. Do you know what I mean? Okay.
Let's see the message. Oh, I'd like to have a basic primer on on chakras, their energies, and balancing those energies. I think
Perfect.
that's what we're doing. I think. Good.
Got it.
Summed it up, Kathleen.
Nice. Yeah. Great.
I don't know why that says. No. Do you see another one? I don't see another one. Oh, chakras.
Interrelated.
Okay, here's one. Chakras are interrelated, but they are often partnered. How do you see these partnerships? Or how are they related? How are they related to each other? That's a good question. Yes. Thank you, Marinda.
Thank you, Marinda. And that's such a big question that I'll only be able to answer part of it, I think. Okay. Yeah. That's all right. We'll get to it. Thank you.
And then you all can see her email address right under Sheila's face, under Sheila's on the bottom of Sheila's frame there. So you can reach out to her afterwards. Okay, how have you personally benefited from doing chakra work? And what chakra work have you personally done?
What a wonderful question. Well, I lead a weekly meditation group every Tuesday at 5:30 on Zoom. And we often go through different aspects of chakras. And every time I lead one of those meditations, I feel the energy rising and I feel the presence of the chakras. And actually, that's the meditation I'm hoping we can open with. So I do hope to share that experience with you.
Yeah, I put your email address in the chat, and those of you who are watching this later on at home, her email address is under this video that you're watching.
Yeah, there are 2 L's though. It's the old British way of spelling counseling. Sorry.
Oh, all right. Scratch that. That's right. I remember that. D-H-A-R. Dharana. What does Dharana mean?
That's also going to be in here. Dharana is one of the 8 limbs of yoga. It is the Sanskrit equivalent of mindfulness.
Okay, great.
Thank you for asking. Yeah,
yes, I love that word. It's beautiful.
Dharana. All right. In the interests of confidentiality, I want you to know that there is no one else in my house but my dog. And her name is Shanti, which means peace. I thought that would be a good reminder for me too.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
So she may wander in and out, but not here now. Okay, so great. I think we're ready to get started then. Good?
Yes.
I forgot to put it back to the beginning here. There we go. All right, now everybody can see. All right.
Yes.
So chakras and our emotional bodies was the name of the longer program that I had created several years ago and taught. But what we're going to do is focus on the core, the primer, like was asked, so that we can begin with an experience of the chakras themselves. So if I could ask you at this time, we're going to do a meditation on the 7 major chakras, and we're going to hopefully be reminded or learn about the elements involved with each one of the chakras and the qualities involved. And but we're going to begin the meditation with a sensory opening. So that's why I was happy to invite you to have your favorite drink or snack. And if you could be eating that or drinking, just take a little sip or a little bite now, and then clear your hands. Then put everything out of your hands so that we can begin the meditation. Meditation will probably be approximately 15 minutes. And what I'll do is I can record the meditation and I'll send it to Anne-Marie so that she'll be able to give it to you if you want to be able to review
Thank
afterwards.
you. I'll put a link to it under the video in your
Okay.
video library. Thank you.
All right, everybody's had a sip or a drink or a bite of something good?
Yeah.
All right. So after you've taken a little bit of a sample of one of your favorite drinks or food, now put everything out of your hands and settle back into your chair or the surface where you'll be comfortable. Take a moment to adjust your position so that you are balanced left and right, and you're not having to use any muscular strain to hold yourself in any position. And we'll begin with the feeling of touch. We'll begin by focusing our awareness on the places where our body is supported by the chair and on the soles of our feet. It is useful for this meditation and many others to have your eyes closed, but please feel free at any moment to open your eyes if you feel you need to check. I keep my eyes open so that I can check and make sure everybody's okay. So as you are focusing awareness on the sensations of touch between your body and the chair, and the soles of your feet and the floor, take a moment to acknowledge that through all of the layers beneath you, you are ultimately cradled by the earth herself. Allow into your awareness now the sensations involved as your body is breathing itself. You don't have to change the depth or pace of your breathing, but simply witness. You may feel a relative coolness as you breathe in at the tip of the nose or into the sinuses, and a relative warmth when you breathe out in those same places. Refine your awareness on all of the sensations involved as your body breathes itself. Movements in the chest or back, shoulders. And imagine or feel that for the next few exhalations, you are searching out and letting go of anywhere that you were holding on to that you really just don't have to hold on to right now. Feel or imagine tension draining away from the scalp, the face, the neck and shoulders, the arms and hands. Feel the upper back, middle back, lower back tension drain down your spine. Let go of the chest and belly. Allow your body, your natural weight, to settle a little more towards the floor through the buttocks and thighs. And feel tension drain down the calves and shins, through the ankles, and out the soles of the feet. So that breath by breath, you refine awareness on the experience of conscious relaxation. Now allow into your awareness also any sensations of taste or smell. And if thoughts arise to any of these sensations, allow them to be, but don't engage them. The trick is, keep returning your awareness to the sensations themselves. The touch of air on your clothes, on your skin. The touch of your clothes. Sensations of taste or smell. And with the eyes closed, sensations of light or darkness behind the eyelids. And all sensations of sound, near or far. Receive each of these sensations as a vibrational quality, as a confirmation of yourself as an energetic being, so that each sensation reverberates in and through your physical and energetic body. The energetic body has several major chakras, centers, concentrations of energy. So let's take our awareness now to the root chakra, which is at the base of the spine and down through the legs. This root chakra is called Muladhara, and it's associated with the earth element, those hard structures in the body that support and protect you. You may picture it as a swirling cloud of red energy, the grounded, secure, and stable energy of the earth herself. And with your next inhalation, bring your awareness just up to the base of the belly, just below the navel, called the Svadhisthana chakra, the center or sacral chakra. You may picture it as a swirling cloud of orange light. And this energy center is associated with water. And as we know, water is the major element throughout the body. And its qualities have to do with the flow and sensuality, and have to do with cleansing as well. So allow your awareness to focus at the sacral chakra and appreciate water in all of its forms throughout your body. And with your next inhalation, allow your awareness to rise to the solar plexus, just between the chest and belly, just at the base of the rib cage. This is the chakra of our own personal fire of transformation. So being a fire, you may picture it as your own personal sun, burning away everything that you do not need, and firing up that which you do. At the solar plexus, food is transformed from its parts into components that are usable to build the body. And here too, our intentions are manifested through desire and action. The fire in the belly we speak of. Imagine each breath fanning the flame of your own personal fire at the solar plexus. These lower three chakras bind us to our body and flow through digestion, reproduction, the life of the body itself. So with the next inhalation, bring your awareness to the beautiful Anahata chakra at the heart center, in the core of the chest. Anahata is the bridge between the physical chakras and the more spiritual, if you like. Anahata glows with the green of new growth in spring and is associated with the element, the air. So as you breathe, breathe in and out of Anahata herself. And feel with every breath the expansion and the movement of all of your finest qualities. Your ability to forgive others and yourself. Your ability for gratitude, for compassion and empathy. Your ability to, yes, love. Feel breath by breath that beautiful flow of green heart energy from the core of the chest throughout every part of the body and mind, the head and body, extremities, everywhere. From the core of the body out in all directions to the skin and even beyond. Then with our next inhalation, bring our awareness to the base of the throat called the Visuddha chakra. This throat chakra is a place where we discern what we take in, and we also discern how we speak and expand our ability to speak our own truth. Visuddha is associated with the element we call ether or space, which is less a physical element and more potentiality itself, possibilities. the unmanifest. So as air flows in and out past Visuddha, feel there an expansiveness, the lightness of ether, opening your ability to speak your truth. And with the next inhalations, bring awareness up to the Ajna chakra, which is above and between the eyebrows and also right through the brain to the occipital lobe at the back. Here is the seat of knowingness itself. Ajna is beyond the elements as we know them, but you may think of it as consciousness. We picture it as a deep indigo sky, like at midnight. And like that clear indigo sky, it may be pierced with thousands of points of light, representing the insights and intuition that incorporates and also surpasses the intellect. Breathe as though you can breathe into Ajna and fan your knowingness itself. And finally, let's allow awareness to rise to the top of the scalp, called the crown chakra or Sahasrara. You may picture it as 1,000-petaled lotus, ultraviolet white, continually unfolding from the center, just above the top of the scalp. And out of the tip of each of those petals, there is a beam of light, so that that light flows up and in all directions, down and around, to encase you in a glowing orb of light, re-entering into your feet and into the root chakra, the solar plexus, the sacral chakra, solar plexus, heart, throat, ajna, and again, a continual flow of energy rising all around and up through the rainbow that represents your energetic body. Now, to close this meditation experience, I will chant the single sound that is associated with each of the chakras, from root to crown, to, in effect, close them for you again. Lam, Bam, Ram, Yam, Hum, Sham, Om. Return awareness now to the sensations involved as your body's breathing itself. And at first, don't adjust any breathing. Simply notice, how is your body breathing itself right now? And do one last scan of your body. Anywhere that your body takes your awareness, and move your body any way that it tells you it needs to move here and now. And whenever you feel ready, just open your eyes. Namaste. When you get the link, that will be called Chakras for SC Zoom. So you know. So I did go longer than I thought. I hope you guys were okay. Is anybody all right? I mean, is everyone all right? I hope.
I see a thumbs up. That's nice. Thumbs up. Yep, people are giving you the thumbs up.
Well, the chakras are a fascinating subject, and there are so many different angles at which they have been studied. So I wanted to start just by acknowledging that sages in India have been speaking about chakras for literally thousands of years, and I don't really know how they intuited these different energy centers of the body. But as we in the West have refined our own way of examining the body, we have just recently come to realize that there's something to those chakras. One of the first people, that's not exactly right, but Candace Pert was one of the first doctors who was examining how our hormones are analogous to our emotions. And later in her academic life, she became fascinated with chakras because she realized that the chakras exist at places where the nervous system and the endocrine system work together, where they meet in a sense. And so you obviously, oh, by the way, you will have a PDF of these slides. So I should have told you before, you don't have to be furiously taking notes because I talk a lot too. Please don't be shy to just unmute yourself and ask a question. I'm so passionate about it, I get carried away. But yes, so now we understand why chakras are so important, because they actually represent places where the endocrine system and the nervous system overlap, and that emotions are in a sense the language of how these two systems work together. Deepak Chopra created as you know, he was an endocrinologist, and he created the Chopra Center with a neurologist by the name of David Simon. And together they said, really, the endocrine system and the nervous system are the same system. That's just the endocrine system is a circulating nervous system. And together they choreograph everything that happens in the body and mind. And I put spirit here because the spirit is maybe how we can look at our emotional lives as well. Because emotions are the language of the soul as well. Our real reactions to what's going on in the world speaks very often in the language of emotions. And I don't know about you guys, but I think the way I was raised was very much about suppressing my emotions. Like, don't worry, that's just, don't don't talk about how you really feel, because other people are not responsible, and for all kinds of reasons you don't want to make people uncomfortable. Does that make sense to anybody? Does that sort of, yeah. Mm-hmm. So now we're coming back. We're coming back to the reality of how important our emotions are, and the balance that is required in paying attention to the language of the body and the language of the emotions, and also to use the knowledge for our own personal growth. So the chakras have been studied for a long time, and two of the associations that I'm going to share with you today have to do with the qualities associated with each of the chakras, and also the archetypical connections. And at the end of the PDF, there's a bibliography as well. So you'll see where I got a lot of this information. All right. So the chakras are kind of the architecture of the energetic body. And the energy that we're talking about is prana. It's called prana in the yogic language, but it's also called by many other names, Ru'a. It's called, every major culture has words for this energetic energy, for this very subtle energy. So the root chakra at the base is associated with stability, security, support, and protection. So within the body, it's the earth element. So it is the bones, the teeth, the ligaments, the fascia. It's all of those things that support and protect us from within. The archetypes that this is associated with are the victim or the mother. Now, there's a lot of details I could go into here, but what the suggestion I would like to make is, if you have made any cards that are associated either with your experience as being a victim of some set of circumstances, or the mother, if you have made them either as personal cards or archetypical cards, the council cards, these are cards that you may want to ask different questions of. Of course, you're going to ask, who am I? Why are you here? The standard questions. What do you have to teach me? What do you want from me? But you may also want to ask, am I safe? Because this chakra's issues are between fear and trust. And we've all experienced both ends of that spectrum, right? So there may be, if one of those cards comes up, or you feel you need to make one of those cards, then you may be asking yourself, when you pull that card, if you pull that card about an issue, for example, or a question you're facing right now, you see, is this an issue of fear or trust? And what do you have to tell me about fear or trust? And associated with that, do I have the right to be here? Do I have to have the right to own this body and fully inhabit this body? And that may sound like a kind of a strange question to ask, but if for any of us who have experienced trauma or just very or shame, we don't inhabit parts of our bodies. And these can be key questions to help you break through in your own understanding of your own experience and what you might be feeling and experiencing. Big questions. And we move along. So the next is the sacral chakra. This one has to do with our sexuality and sensuality. And so our sexuality has to do all with our identity, our orientation, our comfort with our sexuality, our sensuality, and sensuality in a sexual sense, yes, but sensuality in all senses, like enjoy that snack, really, really taste it and feel it and be appreciative of the effect it has on the body. All of those sensual realities that sometimes we feel we should deprive ourselves of because of some ingrained feeling that it's too selfish. Have you ever experienced that one? It's too selfish to have a nice warm bath with candles and your favorite scents because you're taking time away from the rest of your family. I'd like to be the voice of the one that says, no, you should take that bath. Or go for that walk, or, we need a balance. It's always about balance, right? So the sacral chakra is our sexual identity, our sensuality, and yes, it's about procreation. So remember, it's all water in every system and cell, so it's very much also about flow. And the archetypes here are the martyr or the empress. And again, these are two ends of a spectrum, right? So the martyr, I'm only of value if I put everybody and everything else first. And the empress, I'm going to do what I bloody well want to do because I don't care what anybody else thinks. And I'm the only person who matters. So that's the spectrum we're talking about. And again, I mean, we're familiar at least with these two ends of the spectrum. And I want to insert here, I'm fully aware that as SoulCollage, as Sina Frost taught us in SoulCollage, it's not either or, it's all one, all one, and all the parts as one. We are more complete when we acknowledge that we have these experiences instead of just labeling them bad or good. That we're more complete and more honest with ourselves when we can admit we have felt either way, and then ask ourselves, does it serve us really? What's the fallout of being the empress, right?
Someone's asking for you to just explain briefly the empress archetype.
Okay, well, the empress is very it's like a queen, or in an archetype it would be someone who is all powerful, but to an extent that they don't really care about other people or what else is going on. So they feel they're not concerned with anyone other than their own needs and wants. Does that make sense? Selfishness, I guess. And so the new questions, if you have one of these archetypical cards, actually, I should back up a little bit. I should also say the elements may appear in your cards. I have lots of cards that include water. And so there may be an association here. Or if you have any of the elements that we're going to mention, that might also be another clue that these questions might be relevant when you pull the card. So the new question is, can I want or do I deserve? Because if you're at the martyr end, the answers to those questions will be no. I don't really deserve anything. There's no point in wanting anything because I don't deserve it, and I need to put everyone and everything ahead of myself. So do I have the right to feel what I feel? Do I have the right to feel what I feel? Consider how big that question is. Because as a martyr, the answer would be no. But as an empress, the answer would be, well, of course, that's all that really matters. But we're usually somewhere between.
I think somebody's asking about royalty being in service to their people through divine right. Would that be the empress archetype in balance? And then her being in shadow would be her being selfish and not caring.
Thank you. Yeah, because it is true. Every one of these could have a shadow. And yeah, there are nuances for sure.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you. So the main strength in these two chakras, the root and sacral, is being confident and comfortable in your own skin. And that's the main strength when both of them are in balance. The challenge then becomes fear itself, because it's fear that undermines your sense of security, your sense of right to be and inhabit your own body, and the sense of deserving what you really need and want. Let's see. Boy, there's so much there, eh? Okay. So we'll move along up to the solar plexus. The solar plexus is the place of intention and transformation. There are chakras, there are mantras associated with each one of these chakras that are taught at the Chakra Center. And the four that go with the solar plexus are desire, intention, will, and destiny. So that's a progression you may have heard of before. And it's associated here at the fire in the belly, at the way that we can transform our desires and intentions into our destiny. It's the center of personal power and transformation. And I mentioned the transformation of what we eat and drink, which is a very clear example. It does break down all of the food and drink we have into nutrients that are into the molecular structure that is then travels through the digestive system and can be reincorporated into the body to do whatever the body needs to do with them. But it's also true for all of our sensory input. Here we go even into the realm of dreams, because our dreams can tell us some of the sensory input that we've had that maybe we were not consciously aware of, and that we need to integrate into our persona. So it's the fire element, and the fire element, this is the only chakra that includes the fire element. And this is, when you think of what fire does, it burns things down. It creates energy by burning things down, and then it leaves just a residual ash that can be blown away. I mean, you can do a visualization, a beautiful visualization about burning something that you no longer need and then blowing the ash away. There are nice ways to use it.
I think somebody's asking about the issue with digestion. Are you meaning that if there's an issue with your digestion, then there's probably something going on in your solar plexus chakra, because that's where a lot of it happens?
Yeah, I mean, yes. However, I believe also, as Ayurveda does, that if you have digestive problems, then you need to address those digestive problems through a combination of changing what you eat and when you eat and how much you eat. And also you can incorporate pre and probiotics into the process to just restart your digestion. Because in Ayurveda, it is said, this is a paraphrase, but it is said that strong digestion can extract nutrients from anything you eat at all, whereas weak digestion allows food to pass through without being able to extract even the good nutrients that are there. You can eat good food and not get the nutrients. So digestion is central. So yes, a visualization can help, but also the physical manifestations are also important. Yeah. Okay, so here it's the servant or warrior archetype. This is where, and it's a little bit like the martyr and empress, but in a slightly different format. Here we're talking about using the energy that we have either to serve others which is, again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a wonderful way to be in the world, for sure. Or to be fighting all the time, to fight for what we need. But you see, even the warrior archetype is necessary sometimes when you're faced with a situation where perhaps someone is being victimized, or where there is really a powerful wrong that needs to be righted. So again, there's nothing inherently wrong with either end of this spectrum, but the servant or the warrior are archetypes that can have appeared in your cards as well. If that is the, or fire, remember too. So is it safe to act or do becomes the question. Is it safe, or am I right in this case to act or do what I feel the impulse to do, what my fire is driving me to do? Here we look also at what psychologists call the external versus internal locus of control. And basically what that means is it's very similar to the sacral chakra in that sense, where either we take all of our direction from outside of ourselves, which at its extreme means that we can't make decisions because we're constantly trying to serve all of the world around us without any reference to what's actually going on inside us as well. And those of us who have been in that circumstance, in that stance, I should say, in that perspective, you know very well you can't please all the people all the time. That is a truism. But if you try, you can drive yourself crazy trying to do it, you know. So there has to be a certain balance here. And because on the other end, of course, if you're fighting with everybody all the time, that's also a signal that maybe you need to come back to your center, to the balance, to your own ego identity. Is there another question, Anne-Marie?
Someone was bringing up about the Enneagram, but that's a whole nother system to explore. And there is a class on the Enneagram in our audio video library. Whoever posted that might want to look that up.
Well, thank you. I'm not really familiar with that one. I'll have to look it up myself. Okay. So now we come to the beautiful Anahata chakra, the heart, which is just beside the physical heart. But, you know, it's the Institute of Noetic Sciences and the Heart Math Institute. Both are resources I didn't put in my bibliography, but they are wonderful to look up. And the reason that this comes to mind is that the Heart Math Institute has used very refined energy measurement instruments, technology, to try to see the energies trend and the neurological and more subtle energies that travel throughout the body. Sorry, it's a very awkward way to say, but basically, we tend in our culture to think that the brain is in charge and that that the brain is the most powerful electromagnetic field of the body, but it's not actually true. Now that those instruments have been refined to the point where they can measure the energies, subtle energies of the body, the heart is the most powerful electromagnetic field of the body. And in fact, much more information travels from the heart to the brain and the rest of the body than the other way around. So the heart in the chakras, in terms of the chakras, is the bridge. The heart joins the more physical and connected bottom three chakras with the more subtle and universal upper three chakras. Someone was asking about association. That's one association among the chakras. So the heart, Anahata, is the principle is movement, throughout the body. So obviously the body is constantly moving. The body is, every part of the body is changing all the time. You may have heard that the body you're sitting in here now is not the same body you had yesterday. And it's, it's easier to see that it's not the same body you had when you were a teenager or a baby. That we can understand. But the changes happen a lot faster than I had certainly ever thought of. And so the body's constantly moving. The body's more like a river than a statue. It's more a constant movement. And it's the air element in the body. And the archetypes are the lover or the actor. So you can see what that continuum represents. It's either someone who is open-hearted or someone who pretends to be open-hearted. Now, again, we've all been on that spectrum, and there are times when we feel we need to shield our hearts, and it's not a bad thing, not at all, not in this world. So the questions become, is it safe to love? Is it safe to love and to kind of give my trust? So the balance here is love versus grieving and mistrust and a closed heart. Grieving and mistrust, you'll find, are a focus on the past, on how things should have been. And a closed heart, to some extent, is a focus on the future and a mistrust of what might become. So it's when we have experienced sadness and trauma, grieving is extremely important. It's extremely important to take the time to go through real, honest grieving. If we get stuck there, though, that's the key. That's what can stop us from living where we are. Whoops. Oh, okay. So all that to say, there is absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to reach out for reassurance and someone to help you from outside, because we are wired for connection. It's absolutely fine. It's good to be able to reach out and hope for help or assistance and support. It's perfect. At the same time, though, what we're doing here has to do with mindfulness about ourselves in the world. Because we do want to be aware of how we are interacting with the world, and we want to be aware of what the world is telling us. And mindfulness is, to me, the most powerful key we have. Okay. So next we come up to the Visuddha chakra at the throat, which is about communication. It's about discernment as well. So the throat chakra is where we have the ability to discern what we're taking in. And of course, we're talking about eating and drinking, but we're also talking about taking in information, sensory input. We're talking about our ability to take in all the subtleties that we're surrounded with all the time. And we are only consciously aware of a tiny, tiny fraction of all of the subtle information, the stimulus input, if you like, that we are experiencing at any given moment. So it becomes the place where we discern and we speak our truth, because words are creative. So ether and space is the element. And they call this, at the Chakra Center, they call this pure potentiality, or the as yet unmanifest element. So there is space, of course, within the body. if we take a look at any cell and we break it down to its molecular structure, and then we look at the submolecular structures and we start to look at the subatomic particles, what they have found, much to their chagrin, I think, was that there's more space than stuff.
Mm.
that it's not this comes back to how we are energetic beings, because we are not as solid as we appear to ourselves. Within our body, there is more space, really, than anything else. And that's how we flow through our experiences and through our life. Here, the archetypes are between the continuum of archetypes are between the silent child and the communicator. Now, the communicator might be self-evident. It's someone who's able to speak their truth fearlessly and freely. The silent child, though, may be someone who has been traumatized or socialized to so much shame that they feel that speaking their truth is somehow selfish or wrong. Yeah. There is so much there that each one of us may have experienced to some degree or other. So the new questions become, is it safe to speak my mind and show my heart or my truth? Is it safe to be authentic? Do I have the right to have an opinion? And do I have the right to express my opinion? And do I have the right to be who I really am? Now, we don't want to invade other people's spaces too much. We don't want to expect everybody to think like me, right? We all have been guilty of that at some time, I think. But at the same time, we do have the right to be who we are. And one more thing about the throat chakra, it gets blocked when we tell lies, even to ourselves.
Mm.
And I don't know if you guys have had this experience, but I have told myself things that are actually not true so that I wouldn't be imposing on other situations or people, or that I would keep the peace. So I suppose in that case, the best thing to do is just not to speak. Mm-hmm. So finally, we come, the brow chakra. Sorry, back to the third eye, the seat of intuition. And the intuition here includes the intellect. So the ability at the brow chakra is our ability to balance intelligence, or intellect, I should say, with intuition as just two different ways of knowing. There is this ridiculous, to me anyway, battle between science and spirituality. The ultimate, what was that? The discovery of the God particle, Stephen Hawking said, would be the ultimate triumph of science. It's not one or the other, it's both. Sina Frost was right.
Both and, yes.
Both and. Right. So this one is beyond the elements as we know them. So you can think of it as light, or perhaps as consciousness. And it's right through the brain to the base of the skull. It's the archetypes are the intellectual or the intuitive. But as I say, the balance is what we're looking for. The intellectual is someone who is unable or unwilling to trust anything that can't be proved by the scientific method and can't be seen, touched, touched, taste, smell, proven Yeah, by the five senses and the extensions that we have created through science, medical and physical sciences, to extend our ability of those five senses. The irony, I think, for someone who has been living that as the only reality, is that some of the extensions of our ability to discern what's going on at the subatomic level, like I said, have come up with spirit or space or potentiality. So the new questions, can I balance what we used to refer to as the left and right sides of the brain? I mean, that's not so literally true anymore. No one thinks in that term so much. But can I balance those two sides? And this is one of the fundamental characteristics of the soul collage process, because the images go right to the right side of the brain, and our discussions go to the left side. Am I mixing it up? So we use both. Can I open to the wisdom of my higher self or my own personal soul? Do I have the right to be a wise old woman?
Or a wise old man. I think we have a man in our midst today.
Yes,
We have
I did.
several men.
I did put men there, yeah.
Yes. I wonder, if we're using these questions to do a reading where we draw some cards to help answer, if the ones that begin with can I, if we could word it like, how can I? And we would get some wisdom from our netters, or we could even ask these questions of, my brow chakra companion animal is dolphin. So I could ask these questions of that companion animal. So that would be an interesting way to use these questions.
Thank you. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That would be more constructive. Yeah, more positive. Oh, thank you. Okay. So finally, we come to the crown chakra, which is both here at the top of the skull, and also a couple of feet above the head. So it is, and it really, when the Heart Math Institute created an illustration of the energetic flows throughout the body, it was just like what we described in that meditation. So it was a flow, and it cascades all around, and it extends to the length of your arms.
Oh,
And all around in all directions. And that's where your energetic body is. And then they said they believe that that size was a limitation of their instruments more than a limitation of the actual energetic body. So when you consider, have you ever walked into a room and you kind of had a feel for, maybe there was an argument going on there, or you feel like in some places, even when there's no one there, but you can feel a tremendous peace, or you have these subtle reactions? It's because your whole energetic body is responding to the energy of the space. And it's not just woo-woo, hopeful, wishful thinking. It's real. It's real, and it's worth paying attention to. So the crown chakra is our connection to the universe.
mm-hmm.
So the question here is, do we have the right to trust and flow with our energy through our life? This is our connection of ourself with the universal. In yogic terms, this is the Atman with the Para-Atman, or the Brahman. So this is more like that interface between how we see ourselves as a separate unit and how we are actually connected with all. And all is inconceptualizable. We should never give it a name because it's beyond names. But this is our link. This is our link with all that we consider to be, you might call God, you might call the universe, you might call ultimate consciousness, whatever you call it, all names fall short of all that it is. So it's the highest levels of consciousness, and it's where we can cultivate complete trust in the Atman, the self, and the self as all. The 4-word chakras, or sorry, mantras for these chakras are infinity, immortality, holiness, and enlightenment. The archetypes are the guru, the wise old woman or man, or living within your connection with the universal, or the egoist. And that is someone who uses this kind of an awareness for their own selfish needs. So here, really, there could be many questions. I just thought, can I allow my place in the world to unfold? And can I trust and live my part in God, Goddess, and the universe? So here is where I did put in something about balancing the energy of the crown. Just give me one moment. I'm sorry, my husband came home and put the television on. I'm just going to, pause for a second.
Give us a chance to take a breath, maybe. Oh, we can't hear the television though. All we can hear is you, but it's bothering you. It's bothering you, I think, this
I
chat.
was just unsure. Yeah, okay. So yes, now it's the right-hand side here is very rare. Like that would be someone perhaps who was living in an ashram in the mountains, you know, or who was sitting in a cave in the Himalayas. I don't know, you know, if someone really got far too out of connection with the physical world. So that's how you would bring yourself back into balance. There's a little story, I just not sure. Yeah. There's a story about the sage's book. So there was a sage who was in a cave in the Himalayas, and he had no possessions at all because he had eschewed all connections and possessions, except he had one holy book. And he had one holy book that was precious to him. And one day he noticed that mice had started to nibble at the pages of his book. So he considered this for a while, and he decided he had to get a cat. So he got a cat to take care of the mice, to keep the mice away. But then he realized he had to feed the cat, so he got a cow. He got a cow for the milk to feed the cat. And then with the cow and the cat, then he realized he couldn't really take care of the cow and do his deep long-term meditation. So he got someone to take care of the cow. So you can see where this is going. It's sort of regrounding you in the world. Ram Dass has some interesting stories about this too, but I will let him tell you because his information is available freely, you know, in many places. So if you felt you were way too far into the universal ether, you would ground yourself, give your energy to others or to worthy causes, or you would, yeah. But on the left-hand side, if you want to increase this energy flow, that's where Van Morrison has that wonderful song, Let Go into the Mystery of Life. And there is a great deal of trust that is necessary to live in this way. but you can trust in the flow of your life. Trust in that other, that ethereal other that we can't really give names and forms to. And let go of being your only soul solution. Look for yourself in others. And recognize, like Ram Dass says, we're all just like walking around as though we're wearing spacesuits. And once in a while, you can look in another person's eyes and you can say, hey, there you are in there. How did you get into that one? So reconnect with God, the universe, all in other forms, cultures, and rituals. So yes, if you read an inspiring text once a day, or if you spend some time in contemplation of worthy causes and inspiring people and events. And one that is really useful is to practice gratitude. And I know that many of us have probably encountered that. Practice gratitude. There's a little poem from the Osanjis Indians from a book called The Return of the Indian Spirit that I wanted to share here with you because we're almost done. I just wanted to do that. When you arise in the morning, give thanks for the morning light. Give thanks for life and strength. Thanks for food, and give thanks for the joy of living. And if perchance you see no reason for giving thanks, rest assured, the fault is in yourself. So this one I have here just included those archetypical associations so that you would have them all on one slide. And so if you don't want to print the PDF and you would like to put them, take a photograph of it, I'll leave it here for a moment before we go into the bibliography. And or you can certainly have the PDF as well. And this might be a good time to begin with questions. We just have a few more minutes and I'm going to show you the bibliography, but I could talk a long time about that, but I won't. Okay, does anybody still need this up? Okay. So, Brené Brown is a wonderful, wonderful resource for our vulnerability. Ram Dass has been one of my teachers since the 70s, and I had the honor of touching his feet and thanking him at his last retreat. Dr. Anadia Judith wrote a book called Charge in the Energy Body, and that's where some of this information I shared with you today. And psychotherapist Ambika Wouters, Chakras and Their Archetypes. These are not the only sources, but Baba Haridas was the sage who taught Ram Dass yoga. And I also met him before I met Ram Dass. Dr. Maiden Bali is a local yogi who wrote a book called Yoga for Taming the Mind, which I have a few copies of here, actually. Deepak Chopra, of course. A lot about the chakras and yoga. And Anne-Marie Bennett, Into the Heart of SoulCollage. And for the suits and the one and the many. Now, yoga itself is a tremendous field of study that, of course, includes all of this. And I learned yoga from many different sources. The 8 limbs, or there are 8 parts of yoga. We tend to think of only 2 of them. We tend to think of asanas, and pranayama. Those two are for preparing the body for spiritual work. Yamas and niyamas are personal and social observances, things like non-violence and non-stealing and cleanliness and those kinds of things. Pratyahara is called withdrawal of our occupation from sensory experiences, which is basically bringing our awareness back into internally, which we do at the beginning of every meditation. Dharana, this is why I called my practice dharana, because it is sustained attention or mindfulness. Dhyana is living in a state of meditation. It's more and more living in a state of awareness and presence. And samadhi is the release and freedom or unity with all, which we spoke about at the crown chakra. So yoga itself is a tremendous study and practice. It's a lifestyle. The whole subject of gratitude and forgiveness, I took a lot from the Ho'oponopo. Still have a problem. There's a ritual from Hawaii, the Hawaiian people, who go to the energetic level of realizing that anything that I have held in my heart and mind that blames you or separates us and makes it us versus them, I am sorry for that. And I forgive you for anything you have held in your heart that keeps us apart. And thank you. Thank you for who you are and what you are. And I love you. It's a tremendous practice, even if you only do it silently to yourself. So this is the end of the presentation. Leo Tolstoy said that everyone wants to change the world, but not many people think of starting with themselves. In Zen, this is how they said it. Oops. Trying to change the world without changing your own consciousness is like trying to rearrange your hair by combing the mirror. Namaste, everyone. Namaste. So here we are.
Does anyone have questions? We have about 7 minutes left. If you could type it in the chat or raise your Zoom hand, that would be helpful. And I could bring you up on the screen with Sheila.
Or if it's more comfortable, I suppose they could just unmute. Is that all right?
Yep, you could unmute. Then
Okay.
I'll see you on the side if you unmute. I think this is a wonderful, expansive way to use our cards. I think once we're done with this, we could go through our cards and see what we have in relation to what you've just presented. Ask some of those questions. Yes. Okay, Stacy. Here's Stacy. Let me bring Stacy up. Hi, Stacy.
Hi, I'd like to thank you for this wonderful session. It was really very interesting and lots to think about. But something that touched me personally is the picture that's behind your shoulder of the rope bridge going into the forest. I started therapy, and in the waiting room they had a copy of that poster. I thought that was the most amazing, like kind of serendipitous and an amazing connection. Do you have any insight as to the location or nature of that? Because the image in the therapy room that I'm at, it's a rotation place, so I don't know anyone who would have put the poster up or.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I don't know, Stacy. I
Okay,
fell in love with it also. And when
Oh.
I told my daughters, one of them bought it for me for Christmas one year.
Oh,
But
cute.
I don't know where it's from. There's a river down below also, which you can make out in certain lights.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just stunning. It was I could look at it while I was waiting, and I found it very relaxing and very meditative. So you're very blessed to have that in your house. So thank you again for this session.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy, for coming on. Your spotlight. Okay, I see Suzanne has taken herself off of mute. Did you have a question or a comment or?
Yeah, I just found this so inspiring, and it brought back a whole era of my life, from Ram Dass and all of those that got so many of us launched onto a path. And
Yes. No. Mm,
so that's very big for me right now.
mm.
And then just bringing it down to the individual, I'm really curious about how, if you do the soul collage cards, and how you bring this into the cards for yourself.
She's reaching for her cards, I think.
These are most of my cards. Most of my cards. And yes, I have asked some of these questions of my own cards. And wow, I mean, you might know that too, even just going through your cards can bring you back to different aspects of yourself as well. And I mean, I don't know how else to answer that question, but thank you. I mean, it's all personal growth, isn't it?
Sheila, do you have a card for each of the chakras in your deck?
Yes.
That could be one thing you might want to include, Suzanne.
Yes.
Or maybe you already have.
It's something I want to do. Yes. And I probably, if I went through my cards now, I could find a couple that would fit already, but it's an intention of mine. I'm always looking.
Yes, great.
I taught an online workshop on the companions of the chakras, so that we did meditations with each one of them, and we used animals or other creatures as well, and those are the ones I have.
Yes.
Thank you for asking. Yes.
Great
Okay.
idea.
Kathleen, this will be our last one, I think. Let's see.
Thank you very much. Yes, this will help me round out my my suit of the chakras. I do have a question about your thoughts on the all and the universe. Yes, it feels like there's a very strong call right now to embrace a vision of the planet Earth as our all, and a powerful tug and maybe even a need to do that. And I wonder if you have any thoughts on that.
My initial thoughts have to do with, yes, it's like a layer of the all, because the all is incomprehensible, and it goes as far as it's almost as though sorry, this is big, right? So it's almost as though the universe expands to the extent to which we imagine it. So the all, to me, encompasses consciousness itself, or perhaps is based in consciousness itself. And I don't mean just the human intellect, I mean all life.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So yes, I think, Kathleen, you're right, because if we can at least see the earth as a living entity, and that our place in it has been skewed, that we will come back to being a part of it instead of trying to dominate and eventually kill it.
Thank you. Yes.
Well said. Well asked and well answered. Thank you, Kathleen. Okay, I'm gonna put us all on gallery view and we could say namaste to Sheila. Thank you so much, Sheila, for sharing your wisdom with us. And now we're all going to go have fun with our decks as we integrate what you've taught us and what you've shared with us with what we're creating. So those of you watching at home, thank you. We love you guys too. And we've got 2 screens full, so have a great rest of the week, everybody. And thank you again, Sheila.
Thank you, everybody.
So
Thank you.
Thank you.
enlightening. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Beautiful.